Hey again, and welcome back to my craft room. This is video 2 in my Dragonfly class by mail, which is my May 2021 class by mail. I'm just going to check my volume again. Okay, that seems okay. I have actually brought my camera a little bit closer to my work for this video, so that's why you're seeing it slightly different. It's nothing to do with your vision. It hasn't gone slightly mad. Anyway, so this is card number 2. So this is what the kit will look like. There's 2 cards in there. As I said before, I'm only going to do one of them, but there's 2 in there, and you will have 2. There will be fundamental difference you'll notice between the card set I've given you and the card that you've got in front of you, or you can see here, is that central circle there in the card kit you've got is bigger than the circle in the sample. I basically like the small circle, but it makes it very difficult to give the card because the little dragonfly keeps disappearing behind the circle and you have to flick him out, which isn't a good design, I decided. But anyway, so yours will be slightly bigger, so your dragonfly will fit in there without touching the sides, hopefully, or reducing the amount of overlap. Now, this is a really cute little card. It's actually, and I'll open it again, it actually opens from the front and it sits on a single, the card itself is actually this Whisper White panel here. It actually sits on a mat of Bumblebee. So it's quite nice. It's sort of a bit different. That's why I call it, I know it's a stretch, but I call it a fun fold because it's a slightly different fold to normal, and it sits up on display a little bit like that. So yeah, it's quite pretty. It's just a bit different sort of opening. It just makes it a bit distinct. Okay, so this one we've got 3 little dragonflies. In the previous card we only had 2. We've got 3 little dragonflies. I've got the So Saffron and Misty Moonlight one again, and I've added a Blackberry Bliss one just for something a little bit different. Again, we're using the designer series paper from the bundle, which is the Dragonfly Garden bundle, and we're using some of the stamps as well. And again, we've got a visit from the little sentiment box from the Hippo and Friends dies, which is I don't know much personally, don't go much on the stamp set. The Hippo and Friends is a bit complicated for me, but the dies are very, very good. So and the card base itself this time has been popped through an embossing folder. So this is the little mini embossing folder that comes with our, well, that is perfect for our mini machines. But I've used it only partially just to emboss the bottom right hand corner of this particular design, so your cards are already embossed as well. So that's just popped that through. That's the embossing folder that comes with, well, that is included in the what's it called, Forever Fern bundle from the current catalogue, and we'll be carrying forward to the next one as well. And let's just have a look at what you've got in your kit. You've obviously got your 2 envelopes for your 2 cards. And for each of your 2 cards, you've got a card base, which, as I mentioned before, has got a hole cut in it already. So that's just with a layered circle. So there's nothing too amazing there. And it's got the embossing already done. We're using the Forever Fern embossing folder. So you can see that in the light there. You've got a piece of the designer series paper, and I have matched this with the hole. I've cut the same hole or part hole in the designer series paper as I cut in the card base, so they should match up completely perfectly. If you find that the piece of paper you've picked up doesn't match the hole, try the other piece. So I cut them separately and, you know, sort of individually. So it could be that that piece of paper goes with that card base and that card base goes with the other piece of paper. But match them up first and swap them around if they don't match perfectly, if those holes don't line up exactly right. Because as I say, I cut them all individually with them in the right position. So you should have one that fits perfectly with the other. Okay, so since we've got that out, we may actually just glue that in place because it looks like it's the right one. So just a little bit of glue around that paper, and you're basically just covering over that little piece there where the embossing folder ends. So just line it up with the circle, so your 2 circles line up, with 2 part circles, and glue it down. Okay, so that's what we've got there. As I say, this is the embossing folder is a mini embossing folder, so it's only about 3 inches wide, so there was always going to be a gap down the side there. Lovely. Okay, so while we're at it, we might actually get our layer of Bumblebee, which is the backing for the card. As I say, it's slightly unusual in that way. It's got a backing rather than a layers. So we might pop our card front or our card base onto our backing layer. Now if I go really well with this class, it's already been quite popular, but if I sell lots and lots and run out of this pretty dandelion bumblebee designer series paper, I may swap that out for a different design, and you'll also get a different coloured backing as well, because the backing will match the paper. There we go, but the bumblebee is lovely, and I've still got quite a lot of it. If anyone wants to order another copy, another version, or another set of kits. Okay, so that's that pretty much done. We might pop that one aside for the moment, let that glue dry, and we'll do our bumblebees. So dragonflies. So again, as per the first class, you'll have a piece of Whisper White or Basic White. Whisper White is no more, and you'll have a piece that's 4 inches long for each of the dragonflies that you're going to be stamping, just so you've got that little handy hold that we talked about before. So I'll use the same dragonfly that I used on the first card, the one that's got his tail coloured in, and I'm going to do one on each of those pieces of cardstock. Okay. Then I'm going to grab the colours. So we've got the light and dark Misty Moonlight, the light and dark So Saffron, and an additional one. This time we've got the light and dark Blackberry Bliss, which is one of my favourite colours. So let's get colouring. Sometimes it's best to leave the glue to the black ink just to dry a little bit, or flap it around in the breeze just to dry it, just like that, so that your colours don't spread too much. I thought we'd have trouble because I just re-inked my black, but it seems okay. Now, forgive my voice if I disappear while I'm colouring, because I have got my head down away from the phone a little bit. So there's our yellow one, that's our light, so we'll bring in our dark and just do some little highlights. In the directions of the veins that are there. We'll bring in our Wink of Stella, just give it some bling. And as I say, the Wink of Stella actually tends to darken and deepen the colours as well, so it's actually quite nice if you've got a very pale colour. You bring the Wink of Stella in and you not only add some shimmer, but you also add some depth of colour as well. Yep, he's a good one. We might leave him aside. So let's do the blue. So we've got our light Night of Misty Moonlight. I'm using the brush end now because it's quicker, I've just decided. Although it's a little bit, I find it a little bit harder to be accurate. And this one, this side. We'll bring in our dark again and just give it some of those veins. And again, some bling. Okay. So there is our blue one, and now we'll do our Blackberry Bliss one. And this is beautiful. I love this colour. Should use it more often. As you go through, with card making, I'll go through stints where I just go mad about certain colours or products, and then I put them down and don't pick them up again for a while. The painted textures embossing folder is my favourite at the moment. So you see that just about in every class that I design, something has the painted textures embossing folder. And there's the light done, so we'll bring in our dark. Let's give it those veins. Just random, and then some wink of Stella. There we are. That wink of Stella really makes a difference to that Blackberry Bliss. It just really deepens it out. Okay, so there we've got our three little dudes, our three little dragonflies. Again, use the little spare bit of paper that we've got to position it in the punch. Two and three. There we are. Okay, so our three little dragonflies. So we might also, while we've got our stamp out, we might grab our little sentiment box if he's going to come. Come out, sentiment box. Oh, well, bling's out, so we need that, so we'll keep that out. What? Thank you. Which one's going to come first? It's like a snail race. This one, I think. I'll grab it. Don't want to rip my plastic envelope, because that will go to someone else. Oh, that's come out. Okay, so you've got your three little dudes. We'll pop them aside. We're going to use one of the other sentiments from the kit. We've got a "You Are an Inspiration," which is lovely. Everyone needs to be told they're an inspiration from time to time. I haven't got the sticker on the back of that one. I might have to do that. Makes it tricky to line up. So just in black ink. You can use whatever colour ink you want, of course. And onto the sentiment box. That's good. And then we can finish it off. So we've got bring back our card base, which we've already done. We've got some stamping to do inside as well, so we'll do some stamping in that. I'm going to pop the sentiment box in first with some dimensionals. I'll use my own again, and leave the ones in the pack for the person who gets the pack. So a couple of dimensionals on the back of the sentiment box, and the reason I'm popping this on first is because I want to get the position right and then build up my dragonflies around it. So the sentiment box is just in the top left hand corner. Just line it up with the sides and the top and pop it there, just like that. Then we're going to bring in our little dragonfly friends, pop a dimensional on the back of them and pop those around. So I might pop the dimensional on first. The little yellow one is the one that's going to go into the hole that we've made in the circle hole, and the blue and the Blackberry Bliss will go around it. Oh, I've taken the cover off that one. Okay, so we'll put our little hole guy in first. So maybe give their wings a little bit of a curl, just so they're a little bit more natural, and just pop him in the hole. So you can align him in the gap so that his wings don't brush the edge. If you can see that. Oh, I've stuck. So you can see you can open and close the card. This one can open and close the card without hiding him behind the hole. So that's how it's supposed to be. Anyway, so then we'll bring in our other little guys, and they're going to have like a dragonfly party around the place. So one coming in from the top, and this little guy coming in from the bottom. There we are. Isn't that quite sweet? I like this one. We got it some bling, the obligatory rhinestones. So pop those just around as you like. I always put one on my sentiment box to highlight it. But where you put the others is totally up to you. Something a little bit different with this one. I'll pop this one down here. Okay, put those back so they don't get lost. That's for the other person. Okay, so that's the outside of our card done. Isn't that really nice? So if you open the card up, and you can see in this other card that I did, I've used some of the other stamps. So I've got the little cluster of dragonflies or flies or whatever they are, top and bottom. And then I've got may good things grow all year long. So we'll do that with this one as well. Just to I like to design cards so that you get to use all the stamps in your set, or most of them, just so you get your value for money. Okay, so the little cluster of bees or flies or butterflies or whatever they are. So one of them up there, one of them down there. We're going to colour those in. I should actually be cleaning my stamps off as I go. I'm being a bit slack. And then we'll bring in this other little sentiment here. Oops, be careful. That's the problem when you don't clean your stamps as you go. You get it everywhere. So, may good things grow all year long. I'll pop that down here. There we go. Just sort of reinforces the whole nature emphasis of this stamp set. So I'm going to grab my So Saffron and I'll just colour these little guys in. I'm going to do all the same colour, but it's entirely up to you. You can swap your colours in and out. I think the So Saffron goes quite nicely with the bumblebee. We don't actually have a bumblebee blend, so I chose what I thought was the match. Okay, so there's the inside done. No nude cards around here. We've got their inside done as well. So there it is. That's our second card. As I say, it's an improved version of my my display model, because the little dragonfly doesn't get stuck in the hole. So that just opens up nice and easy this time. It's just as nice though. So bring this one back in. You'll see what I mean with the hole being too small. There we go. Okay, so there is card number 2 of our May Dragonfly Garden class by mail. I might clean up these stamps. Been a bit slack. I'll clean them up before I come back and do card number 3. Now card number 3 is our watercolour block stamping card. So to do this one, you're going to need next to you your spritzer with some water in it and an aqua paint brush, just in case you want to do some touch-ups. You'll also need ink pads. You'll need Old Olive, Midnight, Misty Moonlight, and your So Saffron ink pads as well, because that's what we're going to use. So get those ready and come back to watch the next video.